हेलो। हेलो। यस ललित सर।
Okay, so I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Let me just check it once. Am I audible to everyone?
Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, okay. Okay, so let's start uh, the NPTEL live session of week 2. So we can take up the doubts of Dharmendra after this session in the Q&A session, and if you really need to discuss it at the first, we can take it at first also. The plan is we will go through the course content of week 2, then we will go to the assignments, and at the end there will be Q&A session. So if it is okay for you, then okay, I am just trying to read the Dharmendra in previous live section. I have
Yes,
not
sir. Yes, sir.
joined. Yes, okay. So do you have any issues?
No, sir. We'll discuss in last. Okay, after your session.
Okay, okay, sure. So one of the issues with the last session was there were some issues with the joining link. So people were not able to join. But what I did, I recorded the session and uploaded at the YouTube channel. So the video of
I
previous.
tried,
Okay.
but no, it was not allowed. It was showing that
Yes, yes,
only
it was
ID
not
Madras
allowed.
domain.
So
Yes,
now
and
the link
I have
has
made,
changed.
but there is no response from the NPTEL. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
So that is okay. The link has changed. Now everyone can join easily. So I am just seeing one issue of I need to manually allow everyone. So I will look into it. Otherwise, I am just trying to allow everyone. So now the link will not be issue for you. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
let us start today's session. So we will just revise the course content of this week. So till lecture 1, 2, and 3 was covered in the previous session. So we'll start with this uh, lecture 4. So we will quickly go through this lecture 4, 5, 6. These are basically what was covered in the last in this week of your course content. So we'll try to cover it up fastly, and then we will go to our discussion on the assignments. Okay, so this is the first slide. Let's see. So basically, there are two types of energy sources, conventional and non-conventional. So we we saw the conventional type of sources in the previous class. So now we have come to the non-conventional type of energy sources. The first example is the wind energy. So in non-conventional means these doesn't come from your conventional sources like coal, like petroleum products, which are available limited to us. So those we discussed in the previous class, but those are basically the conventional type of sources. And non-conventional is these are not naturally available, but these are developed by technology, and now they are provided as alternate sources of energy, which are clean, and these are clean, so there are no effects on environment. Like if you burn coal, so it will release carbon dioxide, which is hazardous to our environment. And these are renewable at human scale. Means if you have, let's say, petroleum resources are limited. If you consume it continuously, they will end up at some time of your lifespan. But renewable sources like wind energy and solar energy, these are renewable at human scale. Means if you consume it continuously, they will not uh, finish in a, at least in a human life scale. So similar example is shown in the next slide. This is first is wind energy, then it is the solar energy. This is example of a solar cell, and this is a rooftop solar panel. This is shown to be used for hot water. So basically, it just raises the temperature of your water, and it can be used in a household. And this is a 3-volt solar cell. This is also a geothermal energy. Geothermal means this is the thermal energy from the layers from beneath the earth. So we will discuss each of these energies in detail, but now we are just giving you an overview. So this is a geothermal energy. We can get the energy from the layers of earth, and then we convert it in electrical energy, and then we use as a power source. Then it's and let me check. So this is example of an electrochemical energy devices. So this is quite, we will discuss it later on. So let us focus on the overview again. So these are kind of slides you see in your main lectures. So I have taken the slides from there, but I'm not going in detail, just briefly explaining, which will be helping you to just finish our assignments. So for the first lecture, so our learning objective was to become the familiar with the various type of non-conventional sources of energy and to understand the relative advantages and disadvantages of these non-conventional sources of energy. So this was the statement from our last class, and this is again an overview of percentage-wise what we use as energy. So world energy usage is given here. So we can see the coal and oil and natural gases. These three still dominates. So still 87% of energy needs are fulfilled by fossil fuels. So this is the net energy uses of humanity. Only few 7% is based on hydro, 4% is on nuclear, and other is 2%. So we can see a very large portion is still using uh, the non-conventional, the conventional energy sources. Someone typed, "Is it audible?" Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So Sahel, it may be the issues with you, but for others, I am quite audible. Okay. So after the world energy uses, we go to non-conventional energy sources versus clean energy. So this we saw already. Yeah. So one is example is biomass. So what is biomass? Biomass is basically burning of wood or other organic matters. So whatever as a waste we throw away, it should be the organic matter only, not the burning of coal. So that is called biomass. Let's say if you have some waste from your food waste or from your kitchen or from your households or from a restaurant. If you produce energy from that organic matter, or you have some waste in form of wood, so that will be again example of a biomass. Okay. So this is example of hydropower. So basically, cities and states they are using the large hydropowers. Large hydropowers maybe run around 100 megawatts to 10 gigawatts. So all the water dams which are producing power comes in this category. And small hydropowers, these are situated on small dams, small water dams, or similar kind of uh, structures which will be on small, comes into the small hydro. So and then comes the micro and pico hydro, which comes at the small scale level, or let's say on household level. Then comes the wind energy. So this is the example of someone is raising the hand. Sahan M. Is there any issue? Your mic is on, but I can't hear you. Okay. So now it is okay with Sam. So this is example of wind energy. We will also go through in detail, but at the end of the course, let's say at the second half of the course, the all wind or every energy power sources will be taught in detail, but we are just going through as an overview. So this we have already seen. So this is the ocean thermal energy conversion. So the fundamental to understand is here. Here is it is based on the ocean and thermal energy, means the variation of temperature in the ocean. So what we see when we go deep in the cold water at ocean, let's say 1,000 meter deep, the temperature goes up to 5 degrees Celsius. Even it will go below 5 degree sometimes, but it is typically is around 5 degrees Celsius. So it is not frozen, but it is still in liquid form, but quite low compared to the warm water at the surface, or at, let's say, 10 to 20 meter of depth. So what people use, so what we use in this kind of technologies, so we use this temperature variation to produce the energy. So it is based on the uh, temperature difference between two sources, or between two levels. So what setup is used, we will be discussing later on, but this is the only the to understand that this temperature difference will be used to produce the energy. Then comes the waves and tidal waves. So here what we see, basically at the surface of, let's say it's near ocean, or at the banks of any ocean. So we see there are many waves which are oscillating water columns. So we can use these columns, we can use these oscillating waves to generate energy. So one method is to compress air and drive a turbine, and another is to just put some tidal barrages which will be oscillating with the waves. So as the waves oscillate, we will have some mechanical energy. Then the mechanical energy will be converted to electrical energy via turbine or any other system. And also one method is we can use the high tide and low tide. So we know that at the time of high tide, so sea level increases, so we can use that water and some reservoirs. And then when the tides are low, and when the water level is low, we can use this reservoir to just increase, uh, so just rotate some turbines, and we will get some energy out of that. Then this is again a electrochemical device. So this is a basic device which converts the electrical energy into chemical energy, and then uh, when we need the energy, it can be required. It will provide the electrical energy again. So this is a basic example of let's say supercapacitor. This will also we will just see in the detail, but not in this class. So the question is ocean thermal energy comes under cleaner source of energy? So yeah, these are clean source of energy. Yes. Okay, so this lecture is done. Then we move to lecture 5. So I'm just passing through lecture fast, but these lectures are well explained by the professor in charge in the main lecture. So you can first go through those lectures. And for the time sake, we are just revising this lecture as fast as possible. So this is the energy consumption. So energy consumption, the objectives here are to become aware of the energy consumption pattern of energy across the sectors. So sector wise, we will see how much energy is consumed. And the second is to become aware of energy uses across nation and their population. So if we see the comparison or the pie chart of energy consumption by sector, so most of the energy is consumed by the industries and services, then transportation, and only 20% is based on the residential. So most of the energy we can see the transportation and the industrial and services, these kind of sectors are consuming most of the energy. And it comes the overall energy, whole energy, whatever humanities consumes. So Sahil asked, sir, what exactly is a tidal barrage? So Sahil, we will actually in depth see the mechanism of all the energy sources like wind, ocean, tidal. We will see everything. But this is the overview of energy sources. So here I'm not explaining, but later on in this course we will see every mechanism of all of the energy sources. So energy poverty. So this is kind of some statistical data. The 70% lacks access to electricity, 38% lacks access to clean cooking facilities, 95% of these people live in sub-Saharan Africa or Asia, and 80% of in rural areas. So you can see from the statistics, still many people uh, don't get the sufficient electricity as they want. So we are still in condition of energy poverty. We need more and more energy to serve each and every person. So let's say this is the top 5 nation based on total energy consumption. So we see the China is at the first place, where the energy consumption is around in the scale of exajoules. So it is around 75 exajoules. Then comes US, and third comes to India, then Russia and Japan. So we can see the one relation is the population and the development of the nation. So we can see the China is at the most populated country in the world. So it comes at first. And as well, US is the one of the most developed nation. So it comes at second. The India comes at third. So there is a relation of population as well as the development of the country. Per capita energy consumption, we can see per capita energy consumption means energy consumed by per person or a group of person. So it is per capita. So it is the similar example of per capita, let's say per capita earning or per capita consumption. Let's keep it simple. The consumption, if the let's say whole there are 100 people and for a group, and that group is using 100 units of energy. So per capita will be 100 by 100 will be come. It will come as 1. So per person, how much energy the person is using, that is called the per capita energy consumption. So it is directly related with the development of the nation. So more developed country, they will be using more energy per person. So the per capita energy consumption will be higher. So here we can clearly see US is the most developed country among all, and the per capita energy consumption is also very high. Then comes China, Russia, Japan, India at the last, because in comparison with these countries, India is lacking slightly. So our per capita energy consumption is still lower than other. This is the top five nation based on total energy consumption. Again, sector wise. So we can see industry is the the biggest consumer. Then comes transportation, residential, and others, and non-energy sectors. Again, it is on the based on total energy production. So China is at the first place. So it is the biggest producer of energy. Then come US, Russia. India comes at the fifth place. Then so this slide we also saw in the first class. So total world energy uses per year is around 500 exajoules. So exa means 10 to the power 18. So this is 500 times 500 into 10 to the power 18 joules of energy, which is required by the world per year. Then comes the details of energy uses in each sector. And this is we will quickly go through because these all are just the statistical data, but this will come into your assignments as well as your main exams of your of this course. So industry-wise, we saw that industrial services holds of 45% of total energy consumption. So in that industrial sector, one of the major processes we can see here. So oil refining, metallurgy process, glass manufacturing. In this, if we see this kind of industries, process heating is the one of the biggest component of the energy consumption. So process heating means rising temperature of components during manufacturing. So let's say you are making a tile which are used in the floor. So we need to increase the temperature at, let's say, 1500 or 1600 degrees Celsius to convert the silica or the normal sand to in a tile, or let's say in glass industries. In glass industries, you need to take raw material as sand and need to melt it up to level of glass. So we need very high temperature. So that comes in the process heating. Then it is a refining crude oil, then boiler heating to generate steam. So these kind of processes are comes under the industrial sector. So primary source is usually natural gas or oil, and other based on coals and all, they also come in this category. And secondary sources are used as electricity. So most of the energy produced or the heat produced comes via natural gases, oils, or other fossil fuels. So these are again the total top five energy consuming buildings. So this is different kind of buildings, from the service sector, merchandise to office to education, healthcare, and logistics. So this is the breakdown of for a building. So how much the space uses 25%, lighting 10%, ventilation 10%, and cooking 7% similarly. Then it comes with the vehicle, how much vehicles per 1,000 people. So 8,000 people, how many vehicles we have? It is basically, I guess, not the two-wheelers. It is based on the data of four-wheelers. So we can see India is stands very far, at the sixth place. Yeah, at the seventh place, and first is the San Marino, which have more than 1,200 vehicles per 1,000 people. So this is breakdown of uses of energy in a typical home. So basically, in space heating, we use 41%. It varies from the place to place. If we live in a cold region, So space heating requires more power. Otherwise, if we need in if we stay in a hot region like a few places of India, so we need this instead of space heating, we need the space conditioning or cooling. So refrigeration use 5%, air conditioning use 6%, water heating 18%, and 30% comes in the electronic lighting and other appliances. So this is the conclusion for this slide. The energy supply is the considerable notions is in the energy supply and uses scenario. So we still need the more and more energy to supply to each and every individual, and non-conventional energy sources making only a limited intervention across sectors at this time. So most of the energy is provided by the conventional energy sources. So we still need to put non-conventional energy sources to each sector. How many people have joined? Okay. So this slide is done, I guess. So this is our last lecture, lecture 6. So this lecture is based on energy consumption. So learning objectives for this lecture is to become aware of the consumption pattern of energy across sectors and become aware of the across nation and their population. So I guess we have covered some of the parts.
So not audible.
Oh, so I was not audible from which slide?
Yes, from here.
Okay. So we are come at our main slides. So this is my introduction. I am Lalit Bharti. I am a Prime Minister's Fellow in the Department of Physics at IIT Kharagpur. So these are my email and my LinkedIn profile. So you can also contact me here if you have any kind of queries. Also, we are providing these recorded classes on YouTube. Your all YouTube links will be shared to you, and you can go through the YouTube channel. And also, you can write your queries in comment section. So I will go through that, and I will uh, give reply to every of your queries. So related to these classes, these lectures, or otherwise, if you have any questions beyond these lectures, related to something related to your education, related to research, so you can ask me there, and I will try to answer every of your query. So let's go to the week 2. So these were the content we already went through. So first was non-conventional sources of energy. We saw that energy consumption we saw, and energy consumption per sector wise. We have also seen that in the recent slides. So this is again the just a simple overview. So we have already seen this. So this was the example of biomass. So we saw that renewable organic material that comes from living organisms such as plants and animals. So if we have this kind of sources, and if we use these sources to produce energy, that will come into biomass. So let's say from the crop to agriculture waste, from remaining woods, from vegetable oils, from sewage, from animal manures. So this kind of energy sources comes into biomass. So one of the good thing is this is the oldest type of energy sources from the early humanities, because we know in India also we are using cow dungs as a energy sources. So we burn this, we store these cow dungs, and by burning them we get the energy. So this is kind of example of the very oldest renewable energy source. So in villages, it was the first renewable energy source which was used. Then comes the hydropower. So again, the hydropower is very easy to understand. We have a dam which has a reservoir at a very at a large height. Then we use this potential energy of this water, and which will be used here to run a turbine. And due to this potential energy of the water, the turbines will run, and will get the electric energy from the use of this potential energy. Then it will be supplied to the main power grid. So this is kind of a large size of hydropower. Then we comes at the small type of small communities hydropower. So this is basically a small reservoir. This is made at the bank of a river at a height. So you can see here we can use some. You can store some water here in this small reservoir, and whenever we need energy, we can use this power to convert into electric energy. And this is a pumped storage. Pumped storage means if we have some kind of we need to store for a energy for a short time. So what we can do, when we have the excess energy, we will pump some water from the lower to upper reservoir, and when we need the energy, we will just use this upper reservoir water, and we will just open the valves and we'll get the energy back. So this is kind of a storage mechanism. This is the wind energy, example of wind energy. So this is a typical windmill. So we will see in the detail, but this is a very easy example. So this is wind energy. It is proportional to wind speed. So when we have a faster wind, so we'll get the higher wind energy. So that is why there's some specific places where wind energy is installed compared to other regions. So the windmills are usually installed in hills or valleys. So what will happen? Because due to this kind of structure, so the force or the speed of winds are becomes much higher. So we can see from the Bernoulli's principle also, if you have V1 at area A1, and if you decrease the area A2, if you have the velocity V1 at the A1, your V2 will be velocity at A2 will be much higher if the area is small. So same comes with the case of the valleys. So at the valleys, your area, let's say this area becomes smaller or narrower. So your wind speeds or wind velocities becomes higher. So this is these kind of areas are much preferable for installing windmills. Then comes the solar energy. We are already familiar with this kind of energy. So this is example of solar concentrator, where we can use these solar panels to heat a heliostat. This is called a heliostat. This kind of structure. This is a one column, and there's a receiver, and some molten salts are used to store the energy. So when the sun is shining, this these panels will reflect the solar light at the center of the receiver, and it will heat up, and these molten salts will move from. Sorry, I am okay. I was mute again. Okay. So this slide was covered, I guess. So this was. Did you hear that part? The solar concentrator.
Once repeat this slide.
Okay, okay. So this is example of solar energy. So we can see the household applications of solar panels. So these are all electrical applications of solar energy. So here the solar panels converts the solar energy directly from solar to electrical energies, and we can use this DC power to either store in batteries or just run our application. And this second example is, it is called the solar concentrator. So what does it do? Let's say we have a very big field and we want to put a solar plant there. So these mirrors will be used to reflect the energy of sunlight at the receiver. So that is kind of this is called a solar concentrator. So its temperature will be raised at a very high level. Means let's say for 400, 500 degrees, it can go up to much higher than that. So, and there will be molten salts, let's say some salt, you can take sodium chloride. So that is kind of salt, and the temperature will be very high, enough to melt those salts. So these molten salts will circulate in this receiver, and when it comes at this top, the due to the reflection of sunlight, they will get very hot, and they will melt down. They will be very high in temperature. Then they will rotate, and they will go to the steam generator. At this component, the steams will be generated with these high temperature molten salts, and then this steam will be used to rotate the turbine. Then it will cool down, and then it will come back to the air condenser. Then it will rotate back in the solar concentrator. So it is a very efficient way to convert the energy from solar to electrical energy. So this is called a solar concentrator. We will also go through, and we will go in detail in next few slides, next few lectures, not this slide. And this example is of a rooftop solar heater. So this is basically a reservoir of water. So water is stored there, and the blue water represents the cold water, the blue colored line. Then it goes into the solar collector or the solar panel by using gravity only. Then it heats up, and either by the mechanical pump or just the difference of densities, it will come back to the return back to the reservoir. And since we know that your hotter water is lesser in density, so hot water will come at the upper surface, upper level of reservoir, and cold water will be at the bottom. So we can take the hot water from the upper side, and the cold water will recirculated in the solar panel. So this is example of rooftop solar heater. This is the example of typical example geothermal energy. So if you have seen somewhere, so at few places the temperature of water or is quite high in the surface, below the surface. So let's say this is the place where the uh, steams or the hot water is found, and one place where, so we can use this hot water or the steams directly to run a turbine, and then it will be cold and it will be just repumped in the earth, below the earth surface. So this is basically it is situated on places where we can find the hot water springs or hot water in the earth. So this is called the geothermal energy. So this is the example of thermal ocean thermal energy conversion. So we have also, I discussed that if we have the temperature difference between uh, two levels of the depth of water, so we can use this temperature difference delta T to produce energy. So this is typical mechanism. Let's say we have a condenser here, we have a evaporator here. So we will take water from deep seawater from pump P, and it will be uh, move in the condenser. Then sometimes liquid ammonia is used as the fluid, so it is easy to condense and evaporate. Then it will be evaporated, and it will come at the surface, uh, at the warm surface seawater, and it will heat up by the sunlight. Then this temperature difference, it will be used to generate or just rotate a turbine which will generate electricity. And then the waves and tidals are there, or which we will discuss at the later portion of this course. So this was the general discussion. Then we come at the our main assignments. So till now, is it clear, or if anyone have any kind of doubts in these slides, which these are the examples of non-conventional energy sources. Anyone have any questions?
Okay, sir. It's okay.
Okay. So we will start our discussions now. So let us take a break of, let's say, 5 minutes. So I will go and just take some water, and in within 5 minutes I will be coming back and we will start the assignment part. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we are back at our assignments. So these are the questions from either non-graded assignments or the previous week's assignments, uh, which need to be submitted by you, or the previous year's assignments. So these are good for a practice, as well as questions related to these assignments will come in your main exam of this course. So the first question says the biomass constitutes a significant fraction of renewable energy resources. So we see the primary energy consumption pie chart here. So from the renewable energy sources, if we break it down in detail, so we'll see this biomass is at 43%. So 43% comes under the biomass. So we can say, yes, this statement is true that biomass is a significant holds a significant fraction of renewable energy sources. So these are relatively easier questions. So these were the non-graded assignments. So we can see easily that yes, this statement is true. Then comes the question second, which is per capita energy usage is approximately the same internationally. So per capita energy consumption we saw earlier. So the energy per person used can be directly related to the per capita energy usage. Oh, so we saw that the more the nation is developed, or the higher the larger the nation, the developed the nation, the energy per capita is higher for those relative to the undeveloped or the developing nation. So we can see here in this image, as you go to the bright color means the energy consumption per capita in kilowatt hour is increasing, and the darker sides are the lower energy consumer areas. So we can see these more developed nation like US, like Canada, Saudi Arabia, Ireland, Germany, these kind of countries, Norway, these which are well-known developed countries, the color is quite bright, means they are in they are using higher energy per capita compared to the undeveloped nation like few nations of South Africa and some portion of even India. So we can see, yes, there's quite well difference between this kind of two nations. So this statement is false, that this is not approximately the same internationally. So this is also example how to calculate the uh, per capita energy uses. So total energy used by a country divided by the population multiplied by 1,000. So 1,000 means a pool of 1,000 people, means a group of 1,000 people. How much energy they use, that is called the per capita energy uses. So we just normalize by population and multiply by 1,000. So for each 1,000 person, how much energy is used, that is called the per capita energy uses. So it is highest for Iceland, then Norway, Qatar, and India comes at the 1,218 kilowatt hour per capita, and very poor countries like Nigeria, they comes at 147. So it is not equally distributed. So this statement is false. Then we comes at the third question. So this question is the total industrial sector uses significant amount of energy process heating. So we already saw what is industrial process heating. So wherever steam, warm water, hot water, other warm hot media is produced for use of industrial processes. So these are comes into the energy and in the process heating section. So basically the fuel used are these are the conventional fuels like natural gases, coal, petroleum, even the biomass. So these are basically the mostly the, I am crossing the known here. So these are basically the conventional resources. So we were seeing in this pie chart also, we can see that 60% is around for process heating. Here we can see most of the high temperatures are used for this kind of process heating. And here we can also see the amount of or the fraction of process heating at the high temperature it is required. So why we are focusing so much in the process heating? So from this statement, we can see industry accounts for around about 25% of the final energy demand. On the total industry energy demand, process heating consumes 1920 terawatt hours, or about 60%. Here it comes about 60% of total energy consumed by the industries. So this statement is true. Yes, the industry sector uses very significant amount of energy for process heating. So here we comes at the question 4. So question 4 is, the biomass implies burning of wood or organic matter. So yes, this statement is clearly true. We saw that what is biomass? Wherever the organic compounds are used to produce energy by burning them, so that can become in the biomass. So all these examples, so this statement is true. Then these are the till the question 4. These were the non-graded questions, and we now comes at the previous year, the graded questions. So this is the first question. So it comes that the GDP of various nations is very closely related to energy consumption, incident solar energy, presence of wind farms, forest area of the nation. So we know that the gross domestic production, that is a sign of growth of the country. So if your GDP is higher, then the country is called more forward or more developed economically as well as socially. So GDP is yes directly involved, directly related to that. So if you have a developed nation, the energy consumption will be higher. These all three options like incident solar energy, presence of wind farms, or the forest area, these are not relevant to GDP. GDP is directly related to the energy consumption. So this, since my pen is not working, so I can't use the stylus here. So these are already written by me. So I'm just presenting these slides here. And the question is, it will also clear the question, the doubt of one of the students present here. So what are the cleaner sources of energy? So options were solar, wind, geothermal, and ocean thermal energy. So yes, the all four are the cleaner sources of energy. Cleaner means they do not give any elements as a byproduct which is hazardous to environment. Unlike coal or petroleum, which produce harmful gases as a byproduct when they are burned. So these kind of cleaner sources, they will not emit any kind of pollution or any byproduct which is not good for us. So solar comes in the cleaner sources, wind comes, this geothermal, and as well as the ocean thermal energies all comes in the clean sources of energy. Then the question 3 is, renewable energy sources are. So in which of these four are renewable energy sources? So options were biomass, solar, fossil, and the diesel. So we easily know that fossil fuels and diesel, they comes in the, these are based on the petroleum sources. So these are they do not come in the renewable because once finished, they cannot be recreated by the humans. So these are naturally available sources. So they do not come in the renewable energy sources. They comes in the conventional energy sources. Fossils are the conventional energy sources, as well as diesel, which is based on petroleum, which is also a conventional energy source. And solar and biomass, these are renewable energy sources. So option 1 and 2 are correct. Then we need to match these columns. So first is the non-conventional energy. So we can just I have already matched. You can directly see non-conventional resources. Majority of us are not using, because still at the present time most of the energy is produced produced by conventional energy sources on based on fossil fuel. So still we need to find the way out. How can we use more and more green energy, clean energy, to use as consumer? And B is renewable energy is available in inexhaustible form. It means it will not be finished. It will not finished if you are using it continuously. So yes, the statement is true. Then renewable energy, nature or human can renew at the human at energy in a time frame. So it time frame means the human lifetime scale. Let's say few hundred years or multiple of 100 years. So at this time scale, they will not finish. So either they will not finish, or humans can renew these. Like unlike the petroleum products, which cannot be renewed. So these two statements for B is correct, and this for clean energy begins with the environment. So yes, it is based on the environment. It, for example, solar, they come from the environment, or wind, they come from the environment. So like that. So here option three, second and third, these are correct. Fifth question is advantages of micro dams over large dams. Micro dams means these are the smaller version of large dams. So we already saw which these micro dams can be at a village level or at a house level. So we can so let's compare the large dams with micro dams. So we see the main issue with the large dam is the ecological effect. So let's assume that you need to build a large dam at some place. So you will be affecting the ecology very in a okay. So if you are building a large dam, so the ecological effects will be much higher if you want to build at any place. So ecological effect means their marine life will be highly affected. Their flora and fauna means the all the green species, let's say the trees and the grass and the small plants, they all need to be replaced, or they will be just vanished from that place, because the large area will be covered with water. So we need large reservoir for a dam. So ecology will be highly affected at this area. And this similarly the social effects, because at this that area, if you want to build a dam, you need to move out people from that area. So you have to move thousands of people from that area to build a dam. So it is very disruptive. We need to disrupt ecology as well as the social colonies of people. So these are the major disadvantages of large dams. So if you compare advantages of what is the advantages of micro dams? So these are less disruptive. So yes, if you are building a small dam, they will not affect the social life of people, and the ecology affected by will be very less compared to large dams. So option one is correct. Second is low transmission cost and very but high transmission loss. So and the third option is low transmission cost and low transmission loss. Yeah. So there will be loss will be low. So that statement third is correct, because you don't need to transmit the energy or the power from a very far away source. So let's say if you have a home or a village, and you are at the 500-meter or 1 kilometer distance, you have this micro dam. So you need to convey, or you need to supply the energy just a kilometer away. So there will be very less transmission loss and the cost will be as well as very low. So option second is incorrect, but third is correct. And its infrastructure can be quickly built. So that is clearly understandable that yes, the infrastructure will be relatively quick and at very low cost to build. Option first, third, and fourth are correct. So options, the question 6 is again we need to match the column. So wind energy, so that is affected by the season. That is correct. If we have the high winds, so our wind energy will be higher. If we have the low wind in some season or in some area, so your wind energy will be lesser. Geothermal energy is trapped in the form of steam. So we saw that what is the geothermal energy? So the hot water below the earth's surface. So either hot water or steam. So that comes in the geothermal energy. Solar energies, solar energy, the photons are the energy packets. So the statement 4 is related to solar energy. So this kind of photons of energy packets. So these are used to produce electrical energy in case of solar power. So a statement 3 or the section 3 comes to the fourth column here, fourth row of the column B here. Then the ocean thermal energy. So we saw that it utilized the concept of temperature difference, means the temperature difference of the different depth of water. Option 2 is correct here. So we have, let's say, 3, 4 more questions. Then we will come to our introduction. So energy trapped from renewable source can be restored using energy tapped trap energy tapped from renewable sources can be stored using, let's say we need to discuss all the examples. So comes from in the last option, this is nuclear plants. So nuclear plants does not store the energy, and the internal combustion engines. So we see the engines in cars, in motorbikes. So that kind of engines are called IC engines or internal combustion engine. So basically, they do not store the energy. They just convert the energy from either nuclear source or the petroleum sources to either heat or in the form of mechanical energy. So the options are not correct because they are not energy storage system. They are the energy conversion system. Then comes the fuel cells. So this can be confusing at the first glance. So fuel cells are also not to store the energy. So for example, hydrogen fuel cells. So we are seeing some fuel cells based cars at the present times, some prototypes. So basically, this will provide you the either the electricity. Yes, this will provide the electricity, but they do not store the energy. They convert the energy from source is hydrogen from H2 to electrical energy, but they do not store the energy. Then we comes to batteries. So we know what is the batteries. Batteries are the system which store the electrical energy in form of chemical energy. And then if when we need the energy back, so it can gives the electrical energy back to us. Similarly, its typical example is our phone battery. So when we need the charge, so when we need to uh, charge the batteries, so they during the charging, just they convert the electrical energy in form of chemical energy in by movement of lithium ions. Then when we need the and when we need to run the mobile whole day, this electrical or this electrochemical energy converts in the electrical energy to gives us the battery backup. So option 1 is correct in that case. Then comes the question 8. So 8 is an electrochemical device consists of anode, cathode, and electrolyte. An electrolyte can be in form of solution. Okay, so we have two statements. during the typical functioning. When attached to an external circuit, the metal wires, electrons and ions flows through blank respectively. So first we need to understand the first statement. So what is the electrochemical device? Electrochemical, let's say for this example, this electrochemical device consists of one anode, one cathode. You can see the anode here and cathode here and electrolyte. So what is the electrolyte? Electrolyte is a solution. Let's say this electrolyte. So electrolyte is filled. So this is a solution which consists of ions. So these are free ions which can move here and there in the electrolyte. So this is example of typical battery. So this is a battery. You can see the positive terminal, the negative terminal, and the electrolyte, which is a solution here. So let's say the example of lead acid battery, or also an example of, let's say, lithium ion battery. So this is also electrochemical device. So when attached to an external circuit, so here it is attached to a load with the metal wires, electrons and ions flows through what? So electrons, we can see electrons are here. These are electrons. So electrons runs through the external circuit. So when we are charging, the electrons goes at negative sides, and when we are applying some load, when we are discharging, your electrons moves from one negative electrode or anode to cathode in form of current. So basically we get the current. So current is what? Electrons moves in the wires in the external circuit. That is the current. So in external circuit, and ions flows within the electrolyte. So these are your ions in the green color balls. So either they will go from positive to negative side or negative to positive side depending on the charging or the discharging state. So we can see here the ions are free to move. So these are into the electrolyte. So your statement one is external circuit and electrolyte and metal wires and solution. So these options are correct, and here we understood what is the typical mechanism of a battery or a electrochemical device. Then we comes to the ninth question. So it is the almost 90% of fuel in the cars is used to transport the driver alone, transport the car itself, transport the air in the car, transport the fuel in the car. So let's take the typical example of a car. Let's say this is a car. So our driver is around 70 kgs. Our car is around 1000 kgs or 1 ton. Transportation, the air in the car, that is clearly negligible, and the fuel, if let's take an example, so fuel will be around 30 to 40 liters. So if we take a typical example of a typical 1 kg equal to 1 liter, so it is around 30 to 40 kgs. So here we can clearly see the highest or the highest weight having the element is the car itself. So 90% of fuel is used to transport the car itself. So the statement, the option second is correct. Then we have the example. This is example of internal combustion engine. So the question is fuel to what ratio defines how blank a fuel is burned. So let's take this example. So what is a mechanism of internal combustion engine? So what happens? So let's say we have the source. Source is basically carbon based. These are the hydrocarbons. So these are the petroleum products. So basically what will we have? We will have some carbon, oxygen and hydrogen. So this is the hydrocarbons. So these hydrocarbons will react with oxygen. So for example, we have methane. It comes with the contact with oxygen. Then we ignite them. Then the combustion happens. So let's say there's compression and some spark. Then they will burn and they will emit a lot of energy. And the byproducts are water and carbon dioxide, and as well as the high temperature. So similarly here, if you have pure carbon and it will react with oxygen, so and it will produce some CO2 and H2. So this is the typical burning of fuel. So what will happen? We know that two elements are required. One is oxygen, which is present in air, and one is fuel. So if you have equal amount of the perfect combination, so all the fuel will burn and produce the heat and byproducts. If we have higher amount of air and less amount of hydrocarbon or the fuel, the air will be remain, and if we have the higher amount of methane or higher amount of fuel, the fuel will be unburned, and at the product we will also get some of the fuels. So a perfect combination is, or the air to fuel ratio is required here. So there will be in this section air. So fuel to air ratio is required to clearly burn a fuel. Clearly burn the fuel. So one example you see, if you see a old motorbike which is producing a lot of fumes or lot of uh, cloudy exhaust nodes. So that is a perfect example of fuel not burning properly. So there's some issues in their carburetor or the mixing of fuel and air. So lot of fuel is coming out from the exhaust, and that's why you can see the smoke is very cloudy. So here we need a very good ratio or perfect ratio to burn the fuel properly. So this was the summary. We saw the concept of all the concepts of week 2. We revised them. So these were basically various non-conventional energy sources. We see the sector wise, the per capita energy consumption. Then we had some questions regarding the topic. So yes, this for today the all the lectures are done, and now we will go move to the our interaction session. So whatever questions you have, you can ask, and we'll try to discuss and we'll try to sort them. I'm also typing this comment section. If you have any questions, you can also type in your comment section.
It's not it's
So I will be here for our till our scheduled time of 9 p.m. So if you have any questions, you can ask in this time. Otherwise, if you don't have any questions, you can our live session is done. So you can leave if you don't have any questions. Otherwise, you can ask and we can have a discussion.
सर नमस्कार सर
हाँ जी बोलिए.
सर मेरा आवाज आ रहा है सर
हाँ हाँ आ रहा है.
सर जो ओशियन थर्मल एनर्जी में को क्लीन एनर्जी में रखा गया है यदि सर उसमें ओशियन ऑक्सीलेटिंग एनर्जी जो एक और टर्मिनोलॉजी था यदि उसे रहता तो उसको क्लीन एनर्जी में कहेंगे क्या
फिर से किस टाइप का ओशियन
ऑक्सीलेटिंग वाटर कॉलम जो एनर्जी है इसको क्लीन
ऑक्सीलेटिंग
एनर्जी में कहेंगे क्या
मुझे थोड़ा देखना होगा एग्जैक्टली ऑक्सी
ये सर ये जो आपने स्लाइड देखा है ना, ऑक्सीडेटिव वाटर कॉलम जो है, इसको भी सर क्या क्लीन एनर्जी के सोर्स में के अंडर कम्स अंडर द क्लीन एनर्जी सोर्स?
Yes, yes, it comes under the clean energy source. Obviously, clean means इसका जो कोई भी बाय प्रोडक्ट है, इट शुड नॉट हैव अ बाय प्रोडक्ट विच इज हार्मफुल टू एनवायरनमेंट। जैसे कि कोल में होता है, जैसे कि पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्ट्स में होता है। अगर इस सिस्टम का कोई बाय प्रोडक्ट ऐसा होता है जो कि पॉल्यूशन फैलाता है या जो कि हार्मफुल है फॉर अस, सो दैट विल नॉट बी अ क्लीन एनर्जी। सो इन दिस केस in this case there is no byproduct which is polluting, so we can say yes, this is comes under the clean energy.
ओके सर। वो सर वो जो क्लास नोट्स में जो सर ने लेक्चर दिया था, उसके अंदर में थोड़ा सा इसमें कंफ्यूजन आया था कि ऑक्सीडेटिंग कॉलम में मतलब दो तरह से बैरियर बनाते हैं और उसके कारण जो फिशरी लाइफ में थोड़ा सा डिस्टरबेंस आता है,
Okay,
इसलिए थोड़ा सा
so yes, so that can be under the disadvantages of that technology. So हर टेक्नोलॉजी में कुछ disadvantages हैं, जैसे कि if you look at the solar, तो
ओके सर।
सोलर सबसे बेस्ट एग्जांपल है योर हाइड्रो पावर। तो हमने भी डिस्कस भी किया था, इफ यू नीड टू बिल्ड अ रिजर्वायर, तो सबसे पहले यू विल डिस्ट्रॉय द इकोलॉजी ऑफ दैट एरिया, देन यू हैव टू मूव अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल, देन द सोशल लाइफ इज impacted. So this kind of disadvantages are always involved. So हर टेक्नोलॉजी का एक डिसएडवांटेज होता है, बट
सर इसलिए
हम जो
लार्ज को थोड़ा सा अवॉइड किया गया है, लार्ज
yes,
हाइड्रो को।
yes, yes. So it is, we try to avoid that, but still it comes in the clean energy sources because ये कोई pollution नहीं फैलाता है, but हाँ disadvantages होते हैं हर टेक्नोलॉजी के।
जी सर।
Sir, my one question regarding pumped storage hydropower plant.
Yeah.
At a time of less peak demand, we just pump the water in a dam, and during the peak demand, further discharge the water. So, charging and discharging of the water, basically, there's some loss of energy in both. Finally,
Yes.
this is not efficient process, I think.
Yes. So definitely some loss of energy is there. So this was a typical example of how a storage can be made out of this kind of hydropower. So this is an example. Otherwise, yes, losses are always there. Even when you charge your phone, your phone will get heated. So definitely, some of your electric energy is converted in the form of heat, and it is not 100% efficient. So yes, there is in this case also a lot of efficiency loss is there. So we will not get the 100% energy back, but this comes in the example of a pumped storage technique. So yes, your statement is correct that these efficiencies will not be 100% in any case, even in solar, in hydro, in any conversion technique you take, in batteries, whatever technique you take, you can come close to 100, but it is never 100%.
So, sir, thank you, sir. So, can we use pumped storage for peak demand?
Yes, for peak demand, it can be, it is a very good idea. Let's say you have a water dam somewhere. So if you have a lot of energy, lot of power at the peak time, and you don't use that kind of amount of energy, so that can be used in small hydro powers. So let's say you have a community here. So we have a community of very few people, but they don't use a lot of energy. So when the supply is high, you can use this to pump the water at the higher reservoir, and when you need the energy, let's say at the time of uh, cooking or at the time of air conditioning or heating something, so we can use that power back. So yes, that can be used.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Also, you can introduce yourself whenever we are having discussion, so we can know each other that who is the audience, so we can run the course accordingly.
Yes, sir. Myself, Dharmin Kumar Singh. Basically, I am working as a assistant professor in Galgotia University, Gate Noida, Uttar Pradesh.
Okay, which university? Sorry.
Galgotia University.
Okay, I got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
Galgotia
is
University, Gate Noida.
okay. In which department?
Electrical Engineering Department.
Electrical engineering. Yeah. Nice to meet you. And one
Yes,
person,
same with
I forget who was the last person. Bhaskar, I guess.
सर मैं हाँ सर यस सर
Yes.
सर माई सेल्फ भास्कर घोष मैं असिस्टेंट इंजीनियर हूँ एमपीवी इंदौर में और फिलहाल मैं एग्जीक्यूटिव एमटेक कर रहा हूँ डीएवी इंदौर से
Okay. Indore se I have a good connection because I did my masters from IIT Indore. You might know where it is situated in forget which town.
राव
Rao, yes. So yeah, I have a good connection. I was there for 2 years, around 2 years in Indore. That is a good city actually.
यस सर क्लीनेस्ट सिटी ऑफ द इंडिया
Yes,
The
yes,
clean
yes, yes.
city. Mm. So I saw your backgrounds. That is why you both were
अभी
more
सर
interested
इंदौर
in the hydro.
को प्रयास किया जा रहा है
Sorry,
अभी
I
इंदौर को
didn't hear.
सोलर सिटी बनाने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है
Solar city.
सोलर सिटी मतलब पूरा यहाँ
Yes.
पे तो 600 मेगावाट का जो पावर यूज हो रहा है पूरे इंदौर सिटी में तो उसको कन्वर्ट करने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है कि पूरा का पूरा जो है सोलर पे कन्वर्ट कर दिया जाए
वो काफी अच्छा होगा ऐसे अभी पूरे
बिल्कुल
इंडिया में रिसेंटली भी जब इन द बजट और बजट से पहले भी काफी ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ मनी हैज बीन अलॉटेड फॉर दिस solar
और
rooftop solars and as well as the
Yes, yes,
different
yes, sir.
infra.
Government started.
Yes. We are actually also part of this kind of projects. So uh, personally, actually, professionally, I am doing PhD in energy related areas. Like I am working on batteries beyond lithium batteries. So we also work on some areas of the solar power. So yes, we are also working in few projects of this kind of rooftop solar power and many other projects related to energy. So that is good.
So nowadays, one recent trend in a PO4 battery, because you are interested in the working in the
Which
field of
battery?
batteries. Yes, PO4,
Can you just which is the battery? PU4.
PO.
PO is basically the polymer, right?
यस सर पॉलीमर
Polymer is जो अभी जो कमर्शियल बैटरीज आ रही है उसमें बेसिकली एक लिथियम आयन है एक लिथियम पॉलीमर नाम से आती है तो ये कह सकते हो कमर्शियली लोगों को सेल करने के लिए नाम है बट दीज आर टेक्नोलॉजी स्लाइटली डिफरेंट ओनली जो इलेक्ट्रोलाइट यूज होता है उसमें डिफरेंस है बाकी द टेक्नोलॉजी इज स्टिल द लिथियम आयन टेक्नोलॉजी तो जो हम जिस पर काम करते हैं हम ट्राई कर रहे हैं लिथियम को सब्स्टिट्यूट करने का जैसे सोडियम आयन बैटरीज अभी आ रही है तो हमारा काम सोडियम आयन बैटरीज पे है आई ऑल्सो वर्क ऑन दी एल्यूमिनियम आयन बैटरीज बिकॉज लिथियम का इशू लिथियम के काफी सारे इश्यूज हैं फर्स्ट तो इसका प्राइस है उसके बाद इसका इन्वायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट भी काफी हाई है उसके बाद मोस्ट ऑफ द लिथियम हमको इंपोर्ट करना पड़ता है चाइना से चिले से तो चाइना बहुत ज्यादा डोमिनेटिंग है इस एरिया में लिथियम रिजर्व्स में तो इसलिए हम सोच रहे हैं वी आर वर्किंग ऑन इट टू रिड्यूस द यूजेस ऑफ लिथियम एंड सोडियम इज द फर्स्ट कंटेंडर तो सोडियम पे हम काफी काम करते हैं हमारे अभी कुछ पेटेंट्स भी गए हैं इवन स्टार्टअप्स हैव स्टार्टेड which are using sodium ion batteries in e-cycles and other भी applications है so our main goal is to replace the lithium तो जो लिथियम पीओ जो आप बोल रहे हो दैट इज बेसिकली द लिथियम आयन बैटरीज ओनली जस्ट द इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स आर स्लाइटली डिफरेंट, सो थोड़ा प्राइस में डिफरेंस आ जाता है, और बाकी इट इज ऑलमोस्ट द सेम. You are the assistant engineer, that is why you are more interested in this hydropower, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is. So you are also part of that solar mission, the solar power being installed in Indore.
We are the core of that team, sir.
Okay, okay. So you both work together?
Yes, sir. From the first day to the last net metering, till all the inspection work comes around us.
Okay, okay. So what is this? What is the strategy? By what time it should be done? Or
एक्चुअली सर अभी मतलब जिला प्रशासन और इंदौर नगर निगम के द्वारा लोगों को जन जागृत किया जा रहा है कि अपने छतों को पर सोलर का प्लांट लगाया जाए. उसमें शासन भी सब्सिडी दे रही है.
यस यस. तो जो अभी रिसेंटली आई डोंट नो कितना यूनिट्स का डिस्काउंट दिया है रिसेंटली, शायद 300 यूनिट्स पर ईयर और पर मंथ.
पर मंथ सर, पर मंथ.
सर 300 पर मंथ यूनिट.
ओके ओके. तो दैट इज गुड एक्चुअली. हम भी सोच रहे हैं कि अपने घर पे एक इंस्टॉल करवा लेते हैं.
बिल्कुल सर.
We should move towards the renewable energy and especially solar.
Yeah, definitely. And solar is rooftop solar is very trending because of these kind of subsidies. So most of the एक तो टैक्स फ्री ऑलरेडी हो जाएगा, उसके बाद देन prices में you will get subsidies. So what is the typical price you need to pay if you have any idea, Mr.
सर
Bhaskar?
कुल मिला के सर 3 किलोवाट का कनेक्शन जो है लगभग 1.5 लाख रुपए में हो जाता है सर सेटअप. 1.5 लाख.
ओके. तो अभी जो ये डिस्काउंट है ये शायद 1 किलोवाट पे है या फिर टोटल 3 किलोवाट्स पे है?
अप टू 10 किलोवाट डोमेस्टिक में सब्सिडी मिल रही है. अप टू 10 किलोवाट.
अप टू 10 किलोवाट.
Sir,
हमको
after discount,
yes.
sorry for interruption. Actually, सर ने बताया कि up to 3 किलोवाट आई थिंक 1.5 लाख में. तो आफ्टर डिस्काउंट ये जो है 1.5 लाख है या विदाउट डिस्काउंट?
एक्चुअली जो सब्सिडी है सर वो आपके अकाउंट में आएगा, लेकिन वेंडर को आपको पूरा पेमेंट करना पड़ेगा.
ओके. तो अप्रोक्स
Okay,
कितना
sir.
पेमेंट करना होता है स्टार्ट में?
किलोवाट एक किलोवाट में 18,000 का अभी सब्सिडी आ रही है. 1 किलोवाट पे 18,000.
तो सर अगर
तो आपको
सपोज दैट
लगभग
अगर
कितना पेमेंट आपको मतलब व्हाट विल बी द एस्टिमेट कॉस्ट अगर हमें लगाना है घर पे, लेट्स से 2 या 3 किलोवाट का, तो हमें कितना?
1.5 का पेमेंट, 1.5 लाख का पेमेंट आपको देना पड़ेगा खर्चा पूरा. लेकिन वो सब्सिडी जो है आपके पास 18,000 के हिसाब से मतलब वो आ जाएगी अकाउंट में.
तो किसको कांटेक्ट किया जाए इस सब के लिए?
इसमें आप अगर इंदौर में हो तो बहुत सारे वेंडर है, क्योंकि वेंडर के माध्यम से ही काम ये हो रहा है.
ओके ओके. तो बेसिकली मैं तो राजस्थान से हूँ, तो मुझे वहाँ का कोई वेंडर देखना होगा.
हाँ बिल्कुल सर. वो राजस्थान में भी सर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट अलग अलग स्कीम निकाल रही है. और राजस्थान में तो सर सोलर सिटी अभी जयपुर में, मैंने कल पेपर में पढ़ा था, जयपुर भी सोलर सिटी बन रहा है.
हाँ हाँ, वो भी चल रहा है. तो जयपुर, इवन उदयपुर को मैंने सुना है कुछ जा रहा है.
कि वहां पे भी सर सनलाइट जो है लगभग 300 डे आते हैं.
हाँ हाँ.
300 डे. पर ये भी सर फ्यूचर में आफ्टर 20-25 ईयर्स ये भी एक चैलेंजेस होगा. जब सोलर प्लेट जब वेस्ट में कन्वर्ट होगा तो सोलर उस वेस्ट का कैसे
रिसाइकलिंग.
हाँ
रिसाइकलिंग. तो हम
रिसाइकलिंग
उस फील्ड में भी हम काम करते हैं. हमारा एक विंग जो है रिसाइकलिंग ऑफ बैटरीज पे काम करता है. तो जो भी यूज बैटरी है उसका इलेक्ट्रोड्स निकाल लिया और उसका दोनों साइड जो कैथोड एनोड है उसको सेपरेट करके उसको फिर से यूज करके उसका फिर से बैटरी बना के यूज करना. तो ये काम भी आजकल चल रहा है. और सोलर का भी, सोलर जो पैनल्स है उनका भी रिसाइकलिंग का अभी काफी ट्रेंडिंग है. तो ये सब रिसर्च टॉपिक्स अभी काफी ट्रेंडिंग है इंडिया में, इंडिया अब्रॉड हर जगह.
बिल्कुल सर.
तो ये कोर्स दिस कोर्स इज एक्चुअली वेरी गुड इन द सेंस, क्योंकि ये कोर्स बहुत टफ कोर्स नहीं है, मतलब देखा जाए तो बहुत डीप में नहीं जाते हैं, बट इट इज अ वेरी गुड ओवरव्यू। तो अभी हम इसमें आगे पढ़ेंगे जो सोलर पावर है उसको कैसे 1.5 AM क्या होता है, कितना इंक्लिनेशन होता है, और पर डे में कितना पावर हम, मतलब सारी कैलकुलेशंस और
जी
very
सर।
good fundamentals we will see in this course. So in that way, the course is very good.
जी सर।
यस सर।
So I am here till 9. If you have anything to discuss, you can discuss. I am just available. But if you want to leave, and so if you want to leave, you can leave. But I am here till 9.
Sir, one thing in your email ID, Lalit Bharti, 0 or O before
Zero.
GL?
It's zero.
0. Okay, because no, I was unable to
Yeah,
take the screenshot.
it makes confusion, but it is zero.
Okay,
So
okay.
if you have any confusion in zero and O, so जो मेरे साथ होता था, तो if you want to identify, you just see the, if अगर वो O है तो it will be almost circular, पर if वो थोड़ा लेंथ उसका हाइट ज्यादा है तो it is usually zero.
Okay, so for your information, the introduction of today has done, and I am just here for any kind of question, queries, or any kind of discussion. If you have any question, you can ask. I am here till 9. The next session will be on the same time at 7 p.m. on next Tuesday. Thank you.